A recent National Army Museum poll showed that 3/4 of Brits don't really know much about Waterloo, and a quarter don't even know who won. So that's pretty shocking. It's because it's not really taught in schools anymore. It's not emphasised in schools, and perhaps understandably, we're now more focused on the great wars of the 20th century and rise of fascism and the defeat of fascism and communism in the 20th century. So, you can see why it's not well taught. We would argue always for more history in schools, and we hope that we see Waterloo's going back onto the curriculum now, and I think it should be there because I think it brought to an end a great age of conflict between Britain and France in particular. The age of great dynasties, if you like, the British and French, battling it out for control of the world, and it brought that to a decisive end. And in that way, it almost ushered in the modern era, ushered in different types of conflicts in between peoples now, rather than between emperors and kings. And it also ushered in an age of industrial warfare, and it settled the shape of Europe for generations to come. So it's a very important turning point, Waterloo.
I think one of the saddest things about Britain is that very few people do seem to know about the Battle of Waterloo, remember Waterloo. I mean, a long time ago, of course, but it was an absolutely crucial memory. Within history, the Battle of Waterloo was the climax of one of the great wars in our history, and it provided Europe with pretty much peace for the next 100 years. But the key thing about Waterloo is the fact that this was a battle which decided the way Europe would look for 100 years. It's a tragedy that in schools you go straight from the Tudors, Henry VIII and all his wives, right the way up to 1914 and the First World War, the Second World War, without thinking about what's in the middle. There's a huge great war in the middle of it.
Well, one of the great things about this book is that we wrote it in association with the National Army Museum, and we went through their archives and we were able to get replicas of some of their very rare and important documents, and I love this one here. This is a copy of the Times from the 22nd of June 1815, so a couple of days after the battle, and on the front page is all this stuff about a respectable youth is wanted as an apprentice and various messages and things. And then just down here on the bottom right you start to see we have a gentleman who left Brussels on Sunday evening. We get a report about the Battle of Waterloo, and then over here on the page 2, if you're on the back side, we get Wellington's official report, his dispatch written after the battle that was dashed to London by Harry Percy. So this is just one of the fantastic things in their collection, and it's nice that we've been able to include it actually as a sort of physical object in the book.